Welcome to Try This at Home. I'm Cliff Bumgardner.
I am still Harrison Stewart.
Our myths this week are border slingshot, and that's it.
What?
A one myth episode. We'll get into that
What?
in a minute. It originally aired July 27, 2005. It was produced by Alice Dallow.
All right.
And
Welcome back.
yeah, only one myth. You've been digging the just two myths format. How'd you feel about this?
I've been digging the two myths format, and we took it too far. We got too bold. We got too comfortable with really letting the suckers breathe, and they delivered a kind of flat episode, I think.
Really? You didn't like it?
I didn't like this one.
Wow.
I did also. Okay, let me just go ahead in case anybody is out there like really taking me to task for these. When I say I didn't like it, this is still all within. I mean, I do genuinely love this show.
Sure.
Right? We're comparing it now to itself. And I don't know, man. The one myth format fell way flat for me.
Wow. I didn't feel that way at all. I felt like I was watching a great science documentary. Like I was genuinely baited. I was hooked. I was ready to
I can't wait into this.
Yeah, I was ready to see what was going to happen. I wanted to see that sucker fly, and it had me all the way through. So I'm actually excited that we're on different sides of the fence on this one. Different sides of the Canadian fence, by the way.
The Canadian you just gave away the whole thing right at the top. Because that was such a nice surprise how they just because there was an elephant in the room the whole time. You mentioned it last week.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this might get a little dicey with current events. Specifically, the myth is launching somebody over the border. And then at the 11th hour, they're like, the Canadian border.
It's good.
We mean the Canadian border.
It's good because I did spend a significant part of the build-up just going, please don't put Buster in a sombrero. Please don't put Buster in a sombrero.
And not only did they not, my king is not in this episode.
I know. He's talked about
only his
so
progeny.
much, but we never...
You can't have an episode without talking about
But
him.
that's
He is in all things, Cliff. He is in love.
This is
he
true.
is light.
This is true.
I don't know what to tell you. Look out your window. You see Buster.
Duly corrected. But... Yeah. It is funny that they don't even talk about the simulades necessarily on their own. They talk about them as Buster's stand-ins or Buster's stunt double. Like, it's so weird that he's not in the show, but they clearly knew at this point, no, we got to talk about Buster. People are here for Buster. We got to do Buster.
So, and that's we've talked a lot on this podcast about let's see if I can do it, post-MythBusters world.
Nice.
There it is.
I'm going to add a cut in the middle of that and screw with it in post.
And mess it up? Thank you. You have that power. That's
MythBuster. I mean, Buster may be our god, but on this podcast, I am God.
He's going to get you for saying that. So, good luck to you. We've talked a lot about it. What's so interesting is that now that it is out there in the world and people are reacting to it, what we're now seeing in the show is that they're kind of having to shoot around Buster's increased schedule. You know, like he's doing so many talk show hosts, appearances. He's hitting the circuit. He's on Good Morning America.
He was running for president.
Hilarious interview. I think that's right. Yeah. This was his second attempt. He couldn't quite get the funding to get through the primaries. Stiff competition that year, but. In 2005. You remember the 2005 presidential
The famous
election.
2004. Well, crash test dummies, maybe they're on the off year. Off years.
Well,
it's when the crash test dummy presidency. You didn't think he was the president, did you? It's the crash test dummy president.
Don't be ridiculous. He's a crash
ridiculous.
What are you talking about? Electing a crash test dummy?
Simulate Susie beat the snot out of him in that primary.
But she did beat the snot. I mean, that I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was the debate where I started to question if perhaps he had one too many knocks to the head.
Yeah.
That was the one where he started making a little less sense. Some of his policy proposals, like the moderator tried nailing him down. It didn't really work. But yeah, it's really interesting now that Buster's become so big for his britches, he can't even make an appearance on his own damn show.
I know. I mean, what are you going to do?
Buster. Speaking of, I'm going to be gone next week.
Myth 1, which I shouldn't really
And
say.
only.
Yeah, because it's the
And
only
only.
myth in this episode. Border slingshot. So as you mentioned, this is a story about immigrants launching themselves across the border using a giant slingshot. And not only can they get across the border, which they say would be a 200-yard shot, it is accurate enough for them to land safely on a mattress. And
Absolutely.
I want to acknowledge at the top that Robert Lee makes a very good point that this myth has its roots in the history of human cannonballs. I thought it was in the history of human racism.
Oh, well, there's a lot of overlap in this group. I'm sorry. I don't think that's true. I certainly don't know that to be true.
All those human cannonballs, you know where they stand.
They're trying to fire away from the hoi polloi. I don't. They're trying to escape into space.
I could leave that in because there's probably only like 20 people in the world who'd be offended by it. Only the human cannonballs. And how many of those can there be?
And you think that the likelihood that at least one of our 20 listeners is not a cannonball man or woman or other? I don't know.
Cannoneer?
Cannonother?
Cannonother?
Cannonite. Cannonite.
Canaanite. I read about them in the Bible.
Cananian.
Well, that would fit in this one. They'd be Canadian cannonballs. So
yes, they would. And it took us entirely too long to put that plot together.
It really did.
We were that's like when you're reaching for something on the top shelf,
Yep.
but then you just decide to knock everything else over on the way.
That's basically how this show is made.
That's how you get things on the top shelf. I don't know how else one would do it. I am so fascinated by the specificity of 200 yards.
Yeah.
Why? Is there a fence that's that thick? Is that the width of the Rio Grande at some point? Like why is the myth specifically that long?
That goes into what I actually really liked about this episode and this myth and why it worked for me is I think that number is completely arbitrary in order to give them something testable. And that's what I liked about this episode is the story is ridiculous because I just kept thinking through the whole episode and they finally say it at the end, like you would see all this happening. This is completely ridiculous. This is one of those busted with your eyeballs kind of things. Clearly from the beginning, there's nothing to this story and they don't spend any time trying to make it feel reasonable at all. They immediately pivot to the scientific proposition of this is actually, which is where it was smart of them to kind of do the cannonball thing and make it more about, weird human flight is basically what it comes down to. Human projectiles, what is the science of that? How do we figure that out? How do we make it work? And that's how they break it down, which I thought was great myth busting, number one. And number two, a great way. I was very surprised. We've made jokes about this, but actually how smart they were in the way that they approach this. In that clearly this is in its origins some sort of U.S.-Mexico border, immigrant panic kind of story. They didn't go that direction. They took it completely somewhere else. It would have been cool to see Heather Joseph Witham, if she was still on the show, talk about how this plays into fears that we have about immigrants and you can concoct these ridiculous stories. But given what they had...
They fly now.
Yeah, they fly now. Look out. But given what they have in front of them, it was so smart to just take it as a weird Wile E. Coyote contraption sort of question and go in that direction. And that's why I thought this really worked.
Fair. I think the main thing that I'm struggling with is that it's like someone puts a delicious dessert in front of you and you take one bite and then they're like, okay, you're done. That's how they're they're playing with Grant right now. It's like you just gave me the glory of Grant Imahara.
Now, that is fair.
He's hardly in this episode.
The whole build
team is
they're
hardly
wasted in this episode for sure. And when they show up, it's great.
And when they show Cliff, exactly, man.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what it's like. I don't realize how bad I miss them until they're in it at the tail end, and I'm like, great joke, Carrie.
Yeah.
Wish you were around more for this one. Dang.
I have a kind of theory / question I want to propose, which is
perhaps a myth of some
perhaps
sort?
a myth. If only there was a show that would
busting or confirmation or plausibility.
Too bad that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But my question is, when I was watching the episode, because I kept throughout the episode going, is there going to be a second myth? Is there going to be a second myth? And then there wasn't. So I got to the end and I was like, I wonder if they always intended that, or if they shot the actual slingshot portion, edited it, liked it so much that they went back and added in some of the small scale. Because they talk more, they do a lot more small scale than normal. There's multiple different tests, but also they talk about the fact that they are doing small scale a lot more than we've seen so far in the show. Like they keep coming back to the blueprint room and being like, well, now we need to figure out this thing. And it almost felt like it was done in reverse order. I don't know that to be true, but I would love to ask like Alice Tallow, who produced this episode, if that was the case.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And also, I mean, like, okay, here's the thing about the one myth. It covered, so if we're talking like episodes of like 45 minutes, I would say that there was about 7 minutes of fluff. And it was super fluffy. But, like, I understand why you can't cram another myth into there.
Yeah.
You know? Because, there is enough to carry just shy of a full episode. Not quite there, but certainly close enough that you're not going to sit there and, like, pick apart the monolithic myth.
Yeah.
And then, try to cram some other small thing in there.
I felt that way at the end.
So I'm glad they didn't do that. You thought it was dragging at the end?
No, I felt, to your point there, I noticed when they were going to do the first launch, there was still 20 minutes of the show left. And I was like,
yes,
how the heck is that going to work? And I think you're right. I think that one of the best parts, and when we get there, I'd be curious to see what you think, but it's actually how much they fail and do it again. We've talked about before. That's always an awesome thing to see. And there's like 20 minutes of that. So like almost half the episode is the launching, failing, trying to launch again, whatever. So you're right. If they got to that point and went, wow, this is all really good, we can't really set this up, do that, and have another myth kind of jammed in somewhere.
Yeah. So I understand it, but it's like 28 minutes of solid content. And then a lot of because it's not just that they showed them failing in ways that A, I feel are occasionally cut, or B, aren't given nearly this much room to breathe.
Yeah.
It's like the boys will work on it, and they did, and it worked this time. Whereas it's like they just can't figure this out, and they're go and like hitting something with a stick for a while, and then
Adam's dropping bowling balls.
Adam is dribbling bowling balls.
It's true.
I have never seen a bowling ball dribbled. That was a first for me.
I love that he breaks it and goes, oh, I didn't think that was possible. And I was like, well, who thought it was possible to dribble it, Adam? You're not using it for a normal intent.
Adam did, and then Jamie has the most like fatherly moment with him.
He really does.
Tell me what you did wrong. I broke the ball, and I ruined your floor. And he like pats him on the shoulder, like, that's right, son. That's right. And that's why they always say it with me, don't dribble your bowling balls inside of a factory with flooring that the bowling ball could potentially mess up.
Yeah. We got there.
Nailed it.
We both
Yeah,
had.
absolutely.
That was crocheted on a pillow in my grandma's house. So we both know it. Of course.
Right. It's just, it's one of those old sayings.
Live, laugh,
Nobody knows
love,
where
don't
it
dribble
came
bowling balls.
If you can say it back, I will give you every dime in my bank account, which isn't a ton, but it's enough to be exciting.
I went down a bit of a rabbit hole this episode that I want to talk about because Adam and Jamie have the little slingshot competition, which was kind of fun, and they even Adam is like, it's yet another useless competition. Like you can see that they know that's what they're doing now. But at one point, I don't know if you picked up on this when they're showing the results in the high speed of the slingshot, and they say that theirs reached 85 miles per hour shooting these like ball bearings out of the slingshots. But they say that quote unquote competition slingshots can double that. To which I thought, there are slingshot competitions? And oh, buddy, let me tell you, yes, there are.
Hang on. People?
Oh, yeah. Oh, people are really into slingshots, it turns out. So
No. I mean, are they firing people?
Oh, no. It's not the punkin' chunkin' with people. No.
Come on.
No.
I really hoped it was a punkin' chunkin'.
But they're like accuracy contests, just like with guns or archery or whatever, but using nothing but slingshots.
Shut up.
I know.
Is this real?
It is real. I found a website.
Are there slingshot ranges?
Simpleshot.com has listings of slingshot competitions all over the world. You can also buy professional quality slingshots from this website.
And that's why when we need a professional quality slingshot, there's only one site we trust. Cliff, tell them about it.
Simpleshot.com for all of your slingshot needs. They would be a great sponsor of this show, to be honest. Our audience would love that.
If there's one thing I know about our audience, it's that they are firing at each other with slingshots at all times.
And they don't like our takes.
Themselves.
So we know about our audience.
And they think we have, quote, incredibly stupid take. Which, first of all, so nice to meet a fan.
Yeah. Thanks for leaving your 4-star review.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, though, that I found on simpleshot.com is a listing for an International Slingshot Day.
What's the date?
It is February 20th. The post was up on February 20th, 2022. I do not know if this is a yearly event or if it was a one-time thing, but apparently at least February 20th, 2022 was International Slingshot Day. And I just want to read you the copy that is on this page. Here's what it says.
Bank holiday?
Today is International Slingshot Day. A few weeks ago, we asked for your tributes to the person you wanted to honor for International Slingshot Day, the person who helped you discover the joy of slingshots. Well, today's the day, and here are the submissions. And the rest of the page is completely blank.
Are you serious?
Apparently, there were no submissions.
There were no submissions.
Of their slingshot mentors for International Slingshot Day.
Because I think everybody that's really into slingshots knows, like, this was my doing. I got me into slingshots. That's how that happened. Nobody introduced them to. Look, David, maybe. I respect what he did with Goliath. It was a long time ago. I think I could do it better. But it was me, dog. I made that choice. I slung myself into shotting.
They're all just sitting around reading The Fountainhead and shooting slingshots. It's a really deep cut poli sci joke
over and over and over. Yeah, no, well done.
All of our audience. But yeah, so
I liked it.
I do.
I don't know about them. I liked it.
I do genuinely recommend going to this website. The slingshots are pretty cool. I'm not gonna like. There's a little that kid in me that still thinks that slingshots are awesome, and they have some really cool ones. So apparently, who knew there are?
I'm just saying, cheaper than rocket fuel,
right?
Gotta be. You're telling me we can't sling a man to the moon? Brother, come on. It's the next natural step.
Jeff Bezos, when you get back from your wedding, please.
When you get back from your space wedding, sling me into space. No, not rocket me. Sling me. Sling me low. And high.
So more of this small scale testing they do in the episode. The next thing they have to do is figure out the best material to shoot from the slingshot, which was a fun sequence because they make a super slingshot out of a scissor lift.
They do.
I thought that was quite satisfying and also terrifying when it starts backfiring on them.
So yes. Oh wow. No, the opposite directions was a real shooting things back at them was something that I certainly would not anticipate as a rather amateur slinger. But I'm a little shocked that they didn't think that it was a possibility. Like that seems like the exact sort of thing that Jamie is usually like, well, this will happen if we don't, head that off at the pass.
There was quite a few things in this episode that I felt like, I mean, the rig that they end up with, we'll get there, but the rig they end up with is an amazing feat of engineering. But it's always surprising. There are a few things that like they don't think through that you would just think would have been high on the list, like the making sure that there's a way for the cannonball or whatever they're firing to release, or making sure that there's a way to get Buster in the sling and hold him there. Like there were several moments where we're like, oh, we didn't think about that. And I was like, how?
But like they're on site.
Yeah, they're there.
Like
trying
shooting
to do it.
starts in 5 minutes and they're like, yeah, I guess he's got to be in that sucker. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, huh? Having said that, I don't know about you. I was endlessly amused that the things that this was apparently designed for did not work as well.
Yeah.
And the things that in no way, shape, or form are you supposed to do that with it ended up working the best.
Always.
Do you have the materials? Did you?
I wrote down a couple of them. They end up using surgical tubing, which was pretty crazy.
And
but
that's so funny.
They essentially,
I love that.
They were essentially using what they called military grade bungee cord for a while, which I did not know that there was military bungee. That was a new thing to me.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, you've seen GoldenEye.
That's fair. There you go. You did it.
That. Boom, baby. That is one of the first Bond references in this season.
For those of you following along, you have found Waldo, and
and he's right here, and we're gonna kill him. Take the shot. Take the shot. That could also be a Bond reference if you're a Skyfall fan. I think you were saying something relevant.
I doubt it.
I don't love it, but like. Go on.
Yeah. So it was mostly different types of bungee cord and elasticated cable and that kind of thing. But they end up using actual surgical tubing, which works
fantastic,
incredibly well. Their first test was with the 1 kilo ball that Adam had made. It fires it at 100 feet per second. I mean, devastating. I loved that they had the cut in there where Adam early on is like, we might get to that blue van over there. I hope we don't hit it. And they end up launching over the van.
Way over the van.
Were you not waiting for that to just crash through the back of that van though? I wanted 100%. That to happen. I wanted it.
I assumed that they selected this intentionally to be like, just that, like, hope we don't hit it and then bust through it. Like that was the plan.
Yeah,
that was definitely the plan.
Yeah, it felt that way for sure.
They overshot it.
I will give them credit.
They slung their shot.
They did this outside. I will give them credit for that. We call them out on the things that they blow up or shoot or otherwise do.
Us. And when like, I have a feeling that someone in 20-ish years.
I like that their calculation is box of gas. Inside, clearly 50 cal sniper rifle inside, slingshot. Better take that outside, children.
All right, kids. Okay, there's a whole world waiting for you out there, and it's just dying to be slung at. So get out there and make sure you use the surgical equipment. Okay, bye-bye, children.
What pieces of this, of all the small scale testing, did you feel was the fluff? Where did you tune out during this? Or was it during this, I guess I should say?
It was around here because they kept doing the same things multiple times with just slightly scaled up.
Yeah.
To the point that like I was very unclear on if this was like the final. It's more when we get to where they are using where they're firing stuff from the goalpost.
Yeah.
that it's more that I felt like it was such a striking visual that I was like, now this is going to be some good eating. And it's just fine. You know, the goalpost is not designed for that function, as anyone knows after seeing a goalpost get fairly easily ripped down
Yep.
by several people. And they braced it, but it's still just not designed to do that. It's not, much as every child in us wanted to see that visual, it didn't, they could never quite get it as like cartoonish as one would hope.
The amount
from the way it's set up.
The amount of times where they need a location and the one they end up with is a school that lets them do the most ridiculous things with their equipment is shocking to me. We had the swimming pool they fired guns into last week. This week, which I believe they said was at a school. This week, it's the goalpost, which they bend because of course they do.
Because of course they do, because they're really not that strong.
No, they're not made to be strong. They're made to be tall. Like
they're made to be
full
tall
extent.
and there. Yeah, that's it.
And they're firing a modified, actually weighted bowling ball.
A weighted bowling
Not only
ball.
a bowling ball, but a bowling ball full of like lead shot, I think they said, to make it more like a cannonball.
Yes.
So of course it's going to break.
I will say this gave us a great moment where it briefly appeared to be firing back at them.
Yes.
Like it twisted around so bad that the actual, like, I guess the sling, whatever, the little hammock, kind of like wrapped around the ball. And then it went forward, back, forward again, and
back
then
again.
Just like launches it. It kind of ended up almost like straight down.
Yeah.
But that is the moment where they decided to institute a safety,
which they already had. Did you notice that? We had prepared for this. We just didn't do it. Until we almost killed a guy. And now we're going to put the safety mechanism in place.
That's science, baby. That's learning.
It did
That's how you do it.
Partly because it was Adam and Jamie solo for most of the episode, and partly because of moments like that. This was the most like early MythBusters feeling thing we've had in a while, which I did enjoy to an extent of just like, there's some like safety stuff that's a little bit meh, and then it's just Adam and Jamie with the camera guys figuring it out. Like there were some early MythBusters kind of things that for me, it was nice to see.
No, I think we've got it. I think that has helped me identify my issue with this episode is that it felt early MythBusters in every way, except I didn't get my Wile E. Coyote ridiculous image moment. And boy, did they try. Boy, did they try. But like even at the end when it kind of sort of works, it's still just like not as interesting to look at as I had hoped.
Really? Wow. I think you have been mainlining some MythBusters, my friend.
I think that's why I think I'm spoiled. I think I'm spoiled.
We're nearing the end of the season, and Harrison's just like, I don't know, shoot him to the moon, and then I'll be impressed.
Look, you showed me. That's an excellent point. I think we've now really landed on it, which is just I have seen some of the most outlandish nonsense ever put to film. And I'm just craving more, you know?
And that's fair.
I mean, go back. I can't go back, Cliff.
It does say something about this show that this rig that they build is not the craziest thing we've seen them build. Because it is
close.
Amazing, though. This thing that they make, this giant slingshot with the big V made out of trussing and then all the wires coming off. By the way, side point. Did you know that they're called guy wires and not guide wires? When it came up on the screen at one point when they were showing like a blueprint drawing and they were writing and it said guy wire, not guide.
Wait, hang on.
I did look this up.
I'm looking this up.
I did.
I've
also done some research.
It is guy wire.
It is guy wires because it comes from Dutch. It turns out it was a word.
Oh, come on.
It's from Dutch sailing.
Come on, Dutch. What are you doing? The Dutch strike again. They just can't stay up there with their windmills and shoes, and I think that's the Dutch. I'm fairly certain. Orange. They can't stay up there with their orange. They gotta. Unbelievable.
In an episode about people, the fear of people being slung over the border, I did not expect the Dutch to be the biggest ethnic target that would come out over the course of this recording.
And yet,
the Dutch catching strays here at Drives It Home.
I haven't even pulled out my Dutch accent yet, and I won't. But stick around.
That's one you can do.
Finish.
That's one you can do.
You sure?
They're white. It's okay. We can do the pasty ones.
I don't know. I
European accents are fair game.
It's just a lot of dish. Just most of it. It really, but it really is about this level of it's fun to poke fun and everything, but at the same time, it's not far off. It's not far off from this.
It's not. It is.
Is it better than my Australian? Yes or no?
Oh, I don't know. We're gonna have to get a Dutch person to write in, like Anthony Griffiths wrote in to tell us about your Australian accent.
Oh no. If anybody here is from Holland, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I love you. I miss you. I think I want to be with you.
Leave a 4-star review and let us know how mad you are.
Leave a store-far review.
A store-far?
From the nation.
A store-far review.
A 4-star, a store-far review from the nation of Holland. That's what I want.
I like that. Like let's get that. Do they have a president, a prime minister? I'm revealing how little I know about the Dutch.
Cliff, how do you know about the inner workings of the Dutch Parliament? Come on, guy.
There's been a little bit more to worry about around here as of late, so I'm a little preoccupied.
Why? What's happening?
Everything's good. I don't know.
Why? What's going on? Oh, everything's good. Everything's good. If we could just figure out how they're launching people into the country with slingshots, then we'll.
As we all know, it's a really difficult time right now for Canadian immigrants. And that is what this episode is about. That is the message at the core of this episode.
That's the message.
Returning to this insane rig that they build, I was thinking about, as I was watching them do this, that it's this kind of thing that contributes to the feeling that I always had about MythBusters growing up and still have, frankly, today, and like watching Adam on Tested or whatever, is just they can build anything. Like they're special effects artists who specialize in, like they have a robot expert and they have,
the Netherlands.
Model makers.
I said Holland earlier. I meant the Netherlands.
You did.
I'm sorry. You were saying something.
I think that happens a lot.
If you could actually just edit it back. Yes, and I am sorry for that. I wish my brain worked different. Believe me, I do.
You need to give me a clean Netherlands, and I'll just put it back on top.
Perfect. Okay, how's this? Holland. Damn it!
It's a good try. Good try. It happens to everybody.
I'm sorry. I think you were like doing a podcast or something.
Have we ever?
Trying to. You try so hard, Cliff. And buddy, I respect the hell out of you for it.
That's what keeps the show fresh.
Though. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
But it's
you won't catch me out here contributing constructively to a podcast. Never. Won't do it.
Returning to Cliff's podcast. No, it's just that
people are here for.
It's just that I don't know if that's true, but we'll see. It is just that, like, you would expect them to be good at a certain class of things, right? Yeah. Building giant trusses and all this kind of stuff isn't one of them, but they can do that too. Like, it just has that feeling of wow. And because of the way that it's shot, obviously you don't see a lot of other people working with them. And so you just get this. These guys are freaking like engineering marvels to pull this stuff off. And the rig that comes out of it is so satisfying. Like you said, maybe not even the biggest thing we've seen, but still unbelievable. Unbelievable build.
It is, and I love that they brought up. I love that they now have enough myths under their belts that they can bring up similar ones that they've done and just like yes, and just stitch in like a little, like I laughed so hard watching Buster splat again. Okay, so I guess he is in this. He appears in a vision. In this episode.
He appears to his people and lets them know that
he
he's
appears
with them.
to his people and he reminds them what he did for them.
Yes.
And then,
he's died a lot for them.
He has died so many times for your sins, Cliff.
It was a very satisfying montage of just splat, boom, blah.
It was so good. It was so good. And I still just think that catapult that they build out of the rig is just
not just the launch,
wunderbar.
But the launch, break, collapse, done.
It's the whole thing.
It's perfect.
It's the whole thing, man.
It's absolutely perfect.
Any one of these musical pieces would be fine on their own, but together, it's a symphony of nonsense. And I'm here for it, and I wanted more of that in this episode. I won't relent.
I think that montage is also why I was so surprised that they don't actually use Buster. They make a joke about he's been through enough, and then they bring out the truckload of bodies. That's all the various simulades that we've seen. I also noticed that the Simulade company gets a shout out in the credits. They get a special thanks.
Do they really?
So I'm wondering if we might have some donated or discount dummies.
Oh my goodness.
MythBusters is
Money
getting hooked up.
has finally infected the Church of Buster.
Ah, yeah.
Where once it was just about a personal relationship, slowly, politics and greed have crept in. I think we have some pretenders to the throne on our hands. That's what I think.
I think we need to call the Boston Globe, see if some reporting needs to happen. And
today,
I'd watch that movie.
We gotta get it in.
I watched The Spotlight, but with dummies.
Okay, so you went there.
I went
I thought we were gonna dance around it.
No, I went full on Spotlight.
I knew you meant Spotlight, but I love that. I love that we've gone ahead and fully implied that the Church of Buster has a problem and they need to stop moving the simulades around when they do something wrong. It's not good.
There's a lot of children simulates. I'm just saying. Just saying, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, you have a good day now.
Harrison just got up and left the podcast. Hey, I can actually get through the rest of the podcast now, though.
I got burned. I've been burned. But I've been burned fairly, just like Buster.
Yes. We're back on the show. I actually, speaking about burns, I have a little bit of a burn for the show itself. There was a rare mistake in the show, in the actual, in Robert Lee's voiceover copy. And I want to shout out, I probably would not have noticed this, but on IMDb, which we know is typically always wrong, someone had actually left a comment in the trivia. Someone had submitted trivia and said, I think they got this wrong. And I did some research and that commenter was right. So IMDb got one right for a change. When they do the first launch on the super slingshot, they say that the dummy will pull 6 to 9 Gs on launch, which is, quote, as much as a space shuttle astronaut. That is actually not the case. According to NASA, in the Mercury, Atlas, and Gemini projects, they had 2 major peaks of 6.4 Gs for 54 seconds. Other programs had slightly less. Apollo and Skylab were a little bit slower, around 4 Gs, and the space shuttle maxed out at about 3 Gs. So a rare research flub from our friends at MythBusters.
You stupid bastard. Don't you know that slingshots have hyperdrives? They're going ludicrous speed, my man.
Oh, they've gone to plaid.
They've gone plaid. It is actually faster to get launched to them. And see, this is why it's the next step. We've done rockets, it's tired. It has been.
Yeah.
You experience more G's in the slingshot on account of the fact that it's faster. Get to the moon faster.
And that's just
save
science.
Tomorrow. And that's just science.
It's just science.
Which, as
you can't
we have discussed, I am a science guy.
As we well know and has been established on this show.
time and time again, everyone who listens to this show, the first thing that they say is, that Harrison knows what he's talking about. For sure. That's why he's here. That's what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
Is that he's actually kind of, Cliff loves to get way off. Like Cliff will pursue a joke for a solid, I don't know, 3 minutes and 27 seconds. And I'm just having to fight him, I'm like kind of wrestling him down, like, no, Cliff, no.
You keep me grounded.
We must stay on target. We must stay on task. And sometimes Cliff is so far gone that I just start fiddling with cards in my hand.
Exactly. And the audience...
Because it's all I can think to do. And I'm wondering, am I going to have to scrub this later, or can I leave it in? I'll probably leave it in, but no one's going to be happy about it.
As the audience knows, you're the structure guy, and I'm here for laughs.
And I think it says a lot about your growth as an artist that you can admit that.
Yeah.
That we've gotten to a place where you can say, I understand what my role is, and I'm comfortable.
It really says something that the most ridiculous thing you said in that entire run was describing the show as art. That's the only place you lost me. The rest I was like, oh yeah, we'll keep this up. Art.
Even our mothers would not. Our mothers would not hang this podcast on the fridge. I know that. You know that.
My mom just recently followed this show on Instagram, which alerted me.
We did it.
It alerted me to two facts. One, that she was following the show, and two, that she had an Instagram. Which I don't know which of those two is more troubling to me.
They can go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, they can make my terror equal.
They can trouble each other.
Yes.
They can look deep into each other's eyes and find each other troublesome.
Those troubles can host their own podcast just as we do. And
they can call it The Troubles, and for some reason upset like a lot of people in Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about.
So, okay, Canadians.
I'm not a history guy.
The Dutch, or possibly the Danes.
You bastard.
Now the Irish. Probably Mexico, just because of the topic. We have upset.
I haven't touched it. I haven't touched Mexico.
How many different places can we exclude from this podcast in a single episode?
We said we are on record as saying that we are glad Buster was not in the sombrero.
Yes.
We are happy that was not the case.
It was actually around this point.
And it turns out that was the wrong answer. They wanted us to say that. They wanted us to root for that. They loved it. And, God, you can't win for losing sometimes. You know what I mean, Cliff?
He was about here.
Does that phrase mean anything to you?
That they started the whole building the Canadian border. And to that point, it is great. I
awesome.
don't know where things stand with Canada right now, but typically it's
They
great.
love us.
The great thing about Canada is that you have people that you can make jokes about, and everybody knows it's a joke. So they can bust out the Canadian accents and all the little references and things, and it's fine. And it was delightful to watch them do that and go, oh, I wish it was still like that, you know?
Why? What happened?
Good point. And
Canada and us are best friends, right?
When this podcast...
We would never do anything to jeopardize that. Hey, when this podcast drops, that might be true again. I don't know what's happening.
Who knows? Wait for our crossover episode with the Daily, and we'll get into geopolitics through the lens of MythBusters. I can't wait.
Oh no! By the time this podcast comes out, we bombed Canada, and now we have to retract this entire episode out of sensitivity.
This is the lost episode people hear in 20 years. The lost, try this at home.
When it's funny again, when us bombing Canada can be funny again.
Yeah.
You know?
And when the Dutch Secret Service have stopped hunting you.
They're going to get me. I'm so scared.
This was one of the in terms of like big, end of show tests, one of the ones we've seen fail the most. They ended up with 5 different launches that we saw. we'd
By
always
far.
it always feels like maybe there were more that we just didn't see. You know, as
Yeah.
I think you said that earlier, a lot of them get cut out of the show. But like
Yeah.
in this one, they do it 5 different times. And it's like every time there is a different problem to solve, a different thing. For me, I actually liked that, especially at this point. It added to that. One, the tension of is this going to happen? And two, that like, you know, as I said earlier, science doc vibe of you're seeing the testing and the iteration. It didn't lose me at all through that. I don't know. Were you still kind of on the fence at this point?
By the time we got to the big slingshot, I was back in it.
Yeah.
Like it was more the stuff that was happening in the lead up to it and I also think that some of it was just confusing because like I've been trained at this point to expect that like we're in the end game at this minute mark and like that still hadn't happened. Which again, different approach.
Right.
Varying degrees of success, things I liked, things I didn't, but the end was all solid. And it gave me close to the visual that I wanted.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a better way to film it. I mean, it's not like you can track it,
right?
You know, because you have no idea where it's going to move. But you know,
we did get in that 5th and final test a new character that we have to properly introduce on the show. Rescue Randy is the Simulade that they use. We've met Simulade Susie. Now we have Rescue Randy. Yet another new character on the show that they finally...
Why is he called Rescue Randy?
I think they just wanted some alliteration, man. I don't know.
Okay. Is he doing the rescue? Is he a rescue dummy, perhaps?
Well, the Simulades are rescue dummies. That they're used for like rescue training. So I guess that does.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would check out.
I'm sorry, I didn't know what a Simulade was. How stupid of me.
They're different from the dolls that you keep around.
They're different from the... I was about to fight you, and then I realized that, I don't know, 2 feet that way is like an entire shelf of action figures. And I'm sure I pissed somebody off with that joke for sure.
Well, and action figures is definitely where I was going with that joke. You nailed it. I'm glad that's where it
action. No, my friend. I have a bookshelf of sex toys.
Oh,
that's
okay, good.
I don't know what you were driving at there, but no, that's what I'm talking about.
Good. I'm glad you keep them out where everyone can see them. That's a nice.
Well, of course. How would they? And you know, it's definitely it's a feel free to use one. Just make sure that you clean it before you put it back. It's gym rules. That's a very open house.
It's a real conversation starter.
A very loose ship in more ways than one. You were trying to do a show, I believe. Am I right in saying that?
I think that stopped a long time ago. Like episode 3 or 4, I'm thinking.
So I win, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that one in the me W category. Thank you.
They do end up launching Rescue Randy. He still slips out of the sling at the end, but even so, they get one really good launch. He goes 211 feet, which is beyond their original calculations. And with his bouncing and rolling, he's not far from the border that they set up. So he actually goes quite a bit further than they thought. But obviously, the setup on this alone precludes that you could never do this in any sort of practical way. The accuracy is ridiculous. Every single part of it is clearly busted. But another way that this is a lot like season 1 episodes of the show, we don't get an official busted. Robert Lee says it as the credits are rolling, but we don't get a sign. We don't get a cha-ching. It's just stated.
What?
Harrison's highly...
I don't know that we can go back. I don't know that we could do this anymore. If they're just going to take away my little signs at the end.
I know.
You know how long we had to fight for those? 3 episodes. It was torture, Cliff. It was torture. And then you give me Grant and busted signs, and now you're telling me
and Buster?
Hit the road jack? And Buster? I don't know, dude. I think this was not a good episode.
Wow.
That's what I think.
Wow, that's a strong take. I do appreciate
in the grand scheme of it's all pretty good.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of it's a really enjoyable show.
In the grand scheme of it's a pass-fail course, and they're still definitely passing.
There is one thing right at the end, like right before they go to the credits, that I noticed. I don't know if you picked up on. That is just another thing that makes me freaking love Grant Imahara. Is the whole gang is together, like in that, about to ride off into the sunset moment, and they're all high-fiving. And it starts with Jamie high-fiving Adam shaking hands. I'm sorry, not high-fiving. It's like Jamie shakes Tori's hand and he shakes Grant's hand and Adam, and then all this going on. And nobody is shaking Carrie's hand. And right before they cut away, Grant is the one to push past everybody else and go to shake Carrie's hand. Small thing, but damn, Mr. Imahara, you are even the tiny bit he's in this episode, he becomes my favorite. How does he do it?
Right. He's in it for a total of 5 seconds and uses every single one to the utmost.
Yeah.
Well done.
He's just the best.
Well done.
He's just the best. Hopefully we will see more of him next week and in the show moving forward, because definitely not enough build team, not enough Grant.
Hopefully I could listen to Cliff talk to one of his friends, and I don't know, maybe someone that's on the board of his foundation, a man who is actually in the Disney Plus show Light and Magic. Is phenomenal in that show. I mean, I had just heard it, the podcast. Like I didn't see the clips, and yes, he talks a lot about ILM. I definitely should have put 2 and 2 together, but then I saw him and I was like, oh. Okay, now I'm jealous.
Fawn's the best, man. Fawn's the best. Yeah. In case you guys missed it last week, on Friday, we launched a special bonus episode where I got to sit down and talk to Fawn Davis of Fawnco Studios and Industrial Light and Magic fame, and all about Grant Imahara, his longtime friend and colleague. They worked together at ILM. They worked together off and on throughout the years, but then that's actually where Grant's shop was later in life after MythBusters. And it was a fantastic conversation. Folks have really seemed to pick it up and enjoy it, and I'm so glad. And you can find out how to get involved with the Grant Imahara STEAM Foundation and the really good work that they're doing. So please go back wherever you listen to the show and find that episode and learn a little bit about Grant Imahara. Very grateful to Fawn for coming on and making it possible for us to tell just a little bit of Grant's story, because he's such a big part of the show. And, unfortunately, we won't get to have him on. So I'm glad that we got to put that in the show. And Fawn is the reason we were able to do that. So definitely check that out and share it. Fun listen for MythBusters fans. But until then, we will have a new episode next week. We hope you guys will come back. It is called Killer Tissue Box.
Yes, it is. And I was very tempted just to keep watching.
I know. I have no memory of that episode right now. So that'll be very interesting to see. Hope you guys will go out and watch that episode wherever you find it online. Watch ahead so that you can follow along with us. And while you're there, be sure to leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to the show. Help us make the machines happy and get the podcast to more people. But we will be back to break a new episode down next week. And until then, thanks for listening.
Bye. Try This at Home is produced by Slugline Media. The show is written, hosted, edited, and shot onto the internet by Cliff Bumgardner and Harrison Stewart. Our music is by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. You can follow the show on Instagram @TryThisPod or email us trythisathomepod@gmail.com.